Lady.
Hi, you guys. I've been so excited.
Oh, we
I
got
think I
it.
heard it with you.
We
I
got
was just
it.
I was floating around in the swimming pool this morning, and my bodyguard told me all the list of people who I was going to be doing interviews with today. And when they said Fitzy and Whipper, I got fully excited.
Well,
you're a good egg.
Those names stand out. You know, Ricky Gervais said to us once, "You sound like a couple of cartoon characters, Fitzy and Whipper."
Or a couple of radio idiots. Hey, see ya.
It's each name of someone's breasts.
Yes.
Whipper.
How good is that?
Have you ever named your breasts?
Oh, too personal.
Yeah, Bert and Ernie, rice and peas. You know.
It's like the Beans and Frank. Got that packed away. See ya. You've just painted a great picture of you floating in the pool. So I assume you're on some sort of flamingo, or what are you on?
We have a flamingo, but that's not my style.
Okay.
And also the neck has deflated. The flamingo.
That's it's a dead flamingo.
Stars, they're just like us. So the blown up part is just the body of the flamingo,
Right.
and then the neck is just flopping down and
Okay. So
trapped into the water.
and then there's a security guard, and what's he doing? Is he just pacing around the pool with a gun?
No, Selvin's amazing. So Selvin, he does all the checks. He checks all the time, all the doors, all the things like that. He does basic stuff.
Yeah.
But also, so while I was in the pool, he was working out. And so he was working out and playing reggaeton, and he was playing it at a very respectful volume. And I was like, "Oh, Selvin, turn it up!" Like,
Can I ask, Sia, was your dad? Because I know Uncle Colin and Colin. Have we got a bit of Colin here? Your voice is unbelievable, Uncle Colin's. I love this man so much, and his voice is unbelievable. And men at work there was a lot of reggae in around that time. It was reggae part of your life growing up, Sia?
yeah, I think it must have been.
Yeah.
I can't remember much, but I do know that he was extremely influential. You know, like when I had a real bad accident with a matchstick.
Yeah.
My godfather was lighting a cigarette, and it was the redheads matches, and he struck the match, and the end flew off on fire and into my eye when I was 3 years old.
No way.
Yeah, and so but my mum had some hack lawyers that were at lawyer school, and they went and took him to court, and managed to get me $2,000
Right.
in compensation. And I'm like, so I'm 12 now, say 11 actually, and I've got Uncle Colin over for dinner, and he's just visiting Adelaide.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, what's New York like?" And he's like, "It's awesome, you should come visit." And I'm like,
Whoa.
look left, look right, and I look at my mum and I'm like, "Can I?" And then I see Colin's face kind of go, she means it. and they said, okay. And I said I could use that money from the matchstick industry.
Yeah.
And so I flew to New York, and I stayed with him for a month.
This is unbelievable. I want to ask you, as a young girl, what's the one thing that you remember being on tour with Colin or your dad and seeing backstage? Or was there something that sticks out in your mind?
Backstage, the thing I remember the very, very most is that at one point he had to go and do either the Grammys or the VMAs or whatever. So they sent him a limousine.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh my God, can I come in the limousine?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't need to come in. I just want to," because there was a television in the limousine. I was like, "I could watch the Grammys on the television from inside the limousine while you're inside doing your thing. And plus there's candy and there's soda." And I was a complete sugar addict. And I remember and I did not, I didn't grow up privileged. So this was like the most extraordinary experience for me, out-of-body experience. And I remember looking at him on the television and crunching on some candy and just thinking, "Oh, yeah, maybe I could do this.
Was
that the moment?
I was like, maybe this is what I should be doing in my life.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to sit in limos eating candy. Why not? I'm going to be a professional candy eater and sit in limos.
Have you done it since? I would love to know, since your career kicked off, have you been in a limo eating lollies?
The Colin does it now.
Yeah,
Well, no, I definitely have eaten lollies in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
I've never been in a limo, hilariously.
no.
Because nowadays it's cooler
Private
to
jet.
be a
Private jet.
SUV.
Have you been a private jet?
Yeah, I got my first one a couple years ago when I toured Russia
Awesome.
and Europe, and it was my first ever time, and I was like crying.
Was it good?
Because I had a little bed in the back of it.
Did you lay in the bed? Like, do you use it?
Yeah. I would go to sleep because I'd finish the gig and then I'd get on the plane and get in the bed and go to sleep and
Awesome.
wake up the next day in the next place.
Wow.
And I've never had that privilege before. I'd been on band tours and bus tours my whole life. And, yes, it was a real moment for me and all my friends who'd been my colleagues and friends.
Well, that's
who
the
were with us.
thing. Yeah, who do you take on the jet? I mean, obviously there's people that are working on the tour, but do you sneak a few mates on that are just there for the ride?
I do now because I actually realized that it saves me a lot of money in therapy in the long run.
A lot of time and money.
Can I just say, Leonardo DiCaprio, he is known for his mates, apparently, and I'd love to know if you've done this before where you've just rung mates and you've gone, get yourself ready, tomorrow a jet will be picking you up and we're going to Vegas or we're doing this. I just need to see my friends.
I did that with the UFC fight with Conor McGregor.
Oh,
did you go?
And who did you take to you?
I took Maddie Ziegler, my little girl,
Maddie.
and her boyfriend Eddie Benjamin, who's an Australian.
Yep.
And I took my bodyguards, and I
Awesome.
took Dallas Clayton, my best friend, and his son Audio Clayton. Yeah, and we were really lucky because guess what?
What?
The guy who used to do all the head of my security for my tours was now doing all the head of security for the UFC. And we had such a good relationship that he just it was like crazy easy. Off
Did
the
he
plane,
sort the
in
tickets?
car, driving to the back. I actually paid for my first lot of tickets.
Yeah.
And then, but then the Conor McGregor fight, Dana White, he actually comped me 8 tickets.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
This is great.
I was pretty lucky about that one.
And then what happened the rest of that night?
Just Eddie, completely freaking out with joy because he's so into UFC. And
yeah.
it was just an awesome moment as a kind of mum type person.
Yeah,
to
sure.
see that I was making a lot of my friends' dreams come true.
Oh, I love that.
And
I love that.
that's really all there is to it now, because I've really reached all my professional goals. And now it just seems like, okay, so if I'm going to make any more money accidentally by keep writing songs and things, there's only so much you can spend in one life. And so that's why I give away so much.
Fitzy and Whipper. Nova. Hello, this is Sia.
Why we love you, because you are so humble. From where you've come from in Adelaide to where you are now, you've never taken it for granted. You've always gone, I'm so lucky to be in this position. And now, I mean, you're even producing your own movies, which is unbelievable. We're pumped about this as well. Music is the name of the movie, and Kate Hudson is in it as well.
Yeah, great.
Is this a choice?
Yeah, Kate Hudson, Leslie Odom Jr. from Hamilton, and Maddie Ziegler actually plays the lead title character, Music.
Yep.
That's her name. And she plays a really quite low-functioning teenager who's on the autism spectrum.
Yes.
And all the musicals take place in her head.
Can't wait to see this. What a clever idea.
This has been an idea that you've had for a very long time, hasn't it?
Yeah. And I can't wait. I can't wait for you guys to see it because it's like a real, I don't know. It'll make you cry.
No, I love that idea.
And then
Hey,
you'll put your heart back together, and then you get your Hollywood ending. And
hey, Sia, can we go back to what you said about what do you do when you've earned enough money and you don't really need the money, and then you might get some more silly money for doing what you love?
Yeah.
What else could be on the list, though? Like, there must be dreams or thoughts in the back of your head about, I don't know, the next adventure, about what you now have the possibility to create. Your mind must run.
The last 3 years were actually really confronting because I wasn't sure, and I wondered what my purpose was.
Yep.
And so I was pretty scared, and I've been thinking nothing. I was like, I'm just gonna make my friends' dreams come true now.
Yep.
And and I like doing things like, have you guys ever watched Alone? It's like a TV series
yes.
where they go out
and they drop them in
and
the
they're
middle
all
of
by
nowhere.
themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
And they
Yep.
film themselves, and they're all by themselves.
Yes.
Well, in the first episode, there was a guy who was unbelievable, and I loved him a lot. And then he talked one day, he was having a very emotional moment alone, which we do, especially if you've ever heard of Vipassana meditation and stuff, that stuff brings up our crap.
Yep.
And so this guy was talking about how he'd been in the orphanage, and I'm going to cry.
No, that's all right.
He'd been in the orphanage, and that it was Christmas, and that they would call all the children's names for presents, and that his name never got called.
Oh, yeah, right.
And so hopefully he'll never hear this, but so I set up an Amazon account under the name of Santa Clear.
Yeah.
And I wrote him a letter from Santa Clear saying that it had been my fault, that it was an administrative problem at the North Pole. And so I sent him once a month, I sent him a Christmas present for each year that he'd been alive.
Oh, how sweet are you?
It's unbelievable.
And that's the kind of thing that makes me feel really, really good.
I think this could be a calling for you as well. We do a segment here on our show saying we've got you back, and there's a lot of families out there doing it tough, and obviously we've had bushfires this year, and obviously with COVID it's been really tough out there, but we try to look after families as much as we can. See, the satisfaction that you do get from hearing emotion and putting a smile on somebody's face, you become addicted to that. I think that's a drug in itself.
That made me think of what would be fun for us, because I know you guys like do-gooding and I like do-gooding.
Mm-hmm.
Want to do something together? So maybe I will give you guys $100,000 that you can give out to people.
We would love to do something together.
Yeah, you can decide however you want to make it happen, or choose the people who need it most or whatever. But why don't we do that? Because I've always loved talking to you guys. I had always a really good time talking to you guys, and I think it would be really fun to collaborate on.
Oh, it would be an honour for us to get involved and find the right causes and the right people that need the break, and be able to change the world.
I think
I'll make sure my people call your people, and we'll make sure that gets transferred in, to the people that you think it needs to go to.
See, I think we've been talking about nostalgia quite a bit on the show, and going back to your childhood and where you grow up from. I think as you mature more and as you get older, that means so much more to you. I feel you're the same with me. You're a bit of a safety blanket for me in going back to Adelaide and always thinking of those times and those. And it's always good to do that every now and then, because it puts a smile on your face. I think what you're doing now, and like I said, you've never ever been one to go out there to flash your money or to do any of that. You are so humble with where you are now and where you've got. It's just a pleasure to watch your career go from level to level that it has, but you now want to give back to people, and you're looking after mates and taking to the UFC and stuff like that. And
it's the funnest. It's the only thing that's worth doing. There's no meaning to having money.
Yeah.
My parents grew up in the Depression, and so I don't have handbags or fancy shoes or jewelry. That's not what I'm into.
No.
I'm into experiences and memorable experiences and meaningful experiences with my friends. I'm into meaningful experiences with people who are suffering. and that I'm able to help.
And that's the difference too, because you talk about, not knowing what you wanted to do and spending 3 years trying to work out what you wanted to do. But when you take that pressure off and you fall back to the natural person you are, those ideas, and like you were talking about, the guy that didn't have Santa and all of that, they naturally fall into place when the opportunity's there because you're open to that moment.
It feels so good. Whenever a window opens like that, I get really excited.
Yeah,
and then I call everybody in my team and I'm like, let's do this. It's going to be so fun.
It must be so exciting to be able to pull the trigger on those sorts of
things. He'll
things.
probably never hear this, but I never told him it was me. I just set up the Amazon account as Santa Clea.
Oh, you're beautiful.
This is
Let's float in the pool together soon, Sia.
This is
if you guys ever do come to LA, please do let my management know.
Oh, we'd love to.
I think you would be fun people to be friends with.
It'd be great fun.
It's like meditation for us when we speak to you, Sia. It's obviously we love watching your career and your music. You got the new movie out now, music as well. But thank you so much for chatting. And we'll go away and think about this, and we'll keep in contact with you because we would love to do this together.
Doing it. It's a deal. We're shaking on it.
Okay.
Done. I love this.
Do you want me to send over some Farmers Union nice coffee or a couple of fruit chocks, or what do you need?
Oh, you know what I'm been really missing lately? Just that, paw, those big tubs.
Oh, yeah, the
paw.
paw. Yeah, the paw's the best.
We'll send it over.
Yeah, I've been missing that a lot, and it turns out my sons really love it too. And
Well, love you, Sia.
All right, good to talk.
Love you.
Thanks,
Take
Sia.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Fitzy and Whipper. Nova.